Ronan stood at the edge of the observation deck, looking out at the city below. Towering buildings of polished steel and glass reflected the early sunlight, while sleek hovercars glided through the sky like metallic birds. Even though he had seen many advanced cities before, this one felt different. It was quiet yet full of energy. It was a city of progress, of possibilities, and it was his city now. He had inherited a massive technology empire from his late uncle, a man who had built some of the most advanced space travel systems known to humanity. Ronan had been a scientist first, an inventor second, and now a billionaire by circumstance rather than design. He was not sure how to feel about wealth, but he knew one thing. It came with responsibility. Today was different from the other mornings. Today, Meera, his new wife, was preparing for breakfast. She had been with him for only a few weeks, but already her presence filled the house in a calm and confident way. Meera was not like the women Ronan had known before. She did not care about the bright lights or the expensive furniture. She cared about people, about learning, and about life in a way that reminded Ronan of his younger, more curious self. "Meera, what are the twins doing this morning?" Ronan asked, turning from the city view to see her in the kitchen. "They are ready for their morning bath," Meera said with a soft smile. Her voice was calm, steady, and warm. Ronan hesitated. He had heard about her unusual approach with the twins Tilo and Neera, but he had not seen it himself. The children were shy, their eyes wide with curiosity and caution. They had recently lost their parents in an accident, and Meera had taken them in immediately. Ronan respected that, but he also worried. "I will check on them," he said, walking toward the bathing area. The room was filled with the scent of clean water and a faint herbal fragrance. Meera was already preparing the bath. To Ronan's surprise, the water she was using was cold. He frowned. Humans usually bathed in warm water. Cold water could be shocking, even dangerous for children, he thought. "Is it safe for them?" he asked, trying to keep his voice calm. Meera looked at him, her eyes steady and confident. "It is more than safe," she said. "It is necessary," Ronan raised an eyebrow. "Necessary?" Meera nodded. "These baths help them grow stronger. It helps their bodies adapt and stay healthy." Ronan watched as she gently helped Tilo into the water. The boy hesitated for a moment but did not cry. Meera spoke softly, giving him words of encouragement. Tilo splashed slightly and then began to smile. Neera followed, stepping into the water carefully. Ronan was astonished. The children were not in pain. They were enjoying it. He stepped closer, still unsure. "I have never seen anything like this," he said. Meera smiled again. "It is an old tradition from my home. It is meant to help the body adapt to challenges. Many children here grow up with it, and they become healthier and stronger than others." Ronan frowned, but he could not deny what he was seeing. The children's skin glowed, their movements were light, and their laughter filled the room. "They seemed happier than they had in weeks. Why cold water?" he asked. "Because it awakens the body," Meera explained. "It trains them to face the world without fear. It balances their energy. It helps them grow in ways ordinary methods cannot." Ronan was silent. He had studied human biology for years, but this was new. It was unusual. It was effective. He watched Meera work. She was gentle but firm, patient but confident. She moved with knowledge, with care, with an understanding of life that Ronan realized he had only begun to learn. The children responded to her completely. Tilo reached for a small floating toy, and Neera's hair shimmered as water trickled over her face. They were alive, curious, and thriving. Ronan felt a mixture of admiration and confusion. He had married Meera for her intelligence, her calm presence, and her extraordinary mind. But now he saw another side of her, a side that worked with children in a way he had never understood. He felt a surge of respect and wonder. After the bath, Meera wrapped the twins in warm towels. They shivered for a moment, then relaxed, laughing and talking with her. Meera handed them to Ronan. "They are your children now too," she said softly. "Treat them with patience, love, and curiosity. They will show you the world in ways you cannot imagine." Ronan held the children carefully. Tilo rested his head on Ronan's shoulder, and Neera grabbed his hand. Their trust in him was immediate, but so was their need for guidance. Ronan realized that being a father, even to children who were not biologically his, was going to challenge him in ways he had never anticipated. He looked at Meera. "You have a way with them that I cannot understand," he said. Meera's eyes sparkled. "One day you will. One day you will see the truth." The rest of the morning passed quietly. Breakfast was simple yet nourishing. Ronan watched as Meera encouraged the twins to eat, to explore, and to ask questions about the world. They laughed over small toys and drew pictures of the city skyline, showing Ronan their view of the world. Their innocence and curiosity touched him deeply. After breakfast, Meera led the children to a small garden on the rooftop. Plants of every color grew there, some glowing faintly with bioluminescence. Meera explained how each plant had a purpose. Some could heal minor injuries, others purified the air, and some even helped stimulate the mind. Tilo and Neera listened intently, absorbing every word. Ronan watched them play, their movements graceful and confident. He began to understand Meera's methods more. She was not strange or cruel. She was preparing them for a world that could be harsh and unforgiving. She was teaching them to be resilient, to be curious, and to be strong. He remembered the first time he had entered space, how small and fragile he had felt among the stars. Meera was teaching these children to face challenges with courage before the world could test them. The day continued with learning and exploration. Meera showed the children how to operate simple machines, how to read data from floating holograms, and even how to meditate to focus their energy. Tilo and Neera absorbed everything eagerly, their eyes shining with wonder. Ronan felt both awe and concern. The knowledge they were gaining was extraordinary, but it was also beyond what ordinary children learned. As the sun began to set, painting the city in shades of orange and gold, Ronan walked to the observation deck once more. He held Tilo in one arm and Neera's hand in the other. Meera joined him silently, standing beside him with a calm, confident expression. The city below glimmered like a sea of stars. Ronan felt a mixture of hope, fear, and determination. He knew that the coming days would test him in ways he had never imagined. He also knew that Meera's methods, strange as they seemed, were teaching the children lessons that no ordinary school or parent could offer. "Tomorrow," Meera said softly, "we begin the next stage." Ronan looked at her, curiosity and trust in equal measure. "And what will that be?" he asked. "You will see," she said, her eyes gleaming. "You will see what the world can truly become when courage, knowledge, and care guide every step." Ronan nodded, holding the twins closer. He realized that life was about to change, not just for the children, but for him as well. He felt excitement and fear in equal measure. The journey ahead was uncertain, but with Meera and the twins, he knew he would face it with strength, wisdom, and heart. The first day had ended, but it was only the beginning of an extraordinary story. The city, the children, and the lessons of courage and growth awaited them. And Ronan understood that the true adventure was only just beginning. The next morning, the sun rose over the city with a soft golden glow. Ronan woke before the twins, as he often did, and walked quietly to the observation deck. The city looked different in the early light. The streets were calm, and the soft hum of hovercars filled the distance. Ronan's mind, however, was not calm. He thought about Meera and the twins and the strange cold baths he had witnessed yesterday. Was it really necessary? Could it truly be healthy for the children? He could not shake the feeling that there was more to Meera's methods than she had told him. Still, he had seen Tilo and Neera happy and thriving. Their laughter and curiosity had been proof of their well-being. Ronan dressed quickly and went to the kitchen. Meera was already preparing breakfast, and the twins were sitting at the table, their faces glowing with energy. Tilo reached for a piece of fruit while Neera carefully examined a small mechanical toy. "Good morning," Ronan said, smiling. "Good morning," Meera replied softly. Her calm presence filled the room as always. "Are you ready for your bath?" she asked the twins. They nodded eagerly. Ronan watched as they followed Meera into the bathing area. He felt a twinge of worry but decided to trust her for now. He had seen the results yesterday and the children had seemed completely safe. He waited outside the door, leaning against the wall. He could hear soft laughter, the sound of water splashing, and Meera speaking gently to the twins. After a few minutes, she opened the door. "They are done," she said. Ronan stepped inside and was surprised again. The twins were radiant, their skin flushed with health, their eyes bright and lively. Tilo was holding a small glowing toy Meera had given him, and Neera was examining a plant from the garden. "They look fine," Ronan said slowly. "I do not understand how this works." Meera smiled. "You will understand in time. This is more than a bath. It is a way to prepare them for the world. It is a tradition from my home planet, and it has helped many children grow strong, healthy, and wise. Ronan frowned slightly. Your home planet? Yes, Meera said calmly. My people have studied the human body and mind for generations. We have methods that can help children develop faster, safely, and more fully. The baths are only one part of the process. Ronan listened carefully. He had always been curious about advanced science and alien technology, but he had never imagined it could apply to something as simple as bathing children. Are the twins really ready for this? He asked. Meera's eyes softened. Yes, they have a rare energy condition. It is not dangerous, but it requires careful guidance. The baths help balance their energy and prepare them for future challenges. They will grow faster, learn faster, and become stronger. Ronan nodded slowly. It was a lot to process, but he could not deny the evidence he had seen. The twins were healthy, happy, and full of life. Meera's methods, strange as they seemed, were working. After breakfast, Meera led the twins to the rooftop garden. Ronan followed, still observing, still learning. The garden was filled with bioluminescent plants, each carefully cultivated to help the twins in different ways. Some plants improved focus, others improved strength, and a few even helped with energy balance. Meera had created a miniature ecosystem specifically for them. As the twins explored, Meera explained each plant to Ronan. Every plant here has a purpose, she said. They are tools for learning and growth. They teach the children to observe, to understand, and to interact with their environment carefully. Tilo picked up a small glowing leaf and asked, "What does this do?" Meera smiled. "It helps you think clearly. When you touch it, your mind will focus on what is important." Meera carefully touched a plant that glowed softly and gasped. "I can feel it," she said. "It is warm." Ronan watched in awe. The twins were learning, exploring, and growing in ways he had never imagined. Meera had not just taken care of them. She was teaching them to become extraordinary. Later, as the children played with simple mechanical toys Meera had designed, Ronan noticed something unusual. Tilo reached out and a small toy moved slightly in response to his hand. Meera's eyes widened. She touched another toy and it floated gently for a moment before settling back down. Ronan's heart raced. Could the children have powers? Meera had mentioned energy balance, but he had never expected anything like this. Meera noticed his expression. "Do not be afraid," she said softly. "They are discovering their abilities. This is normal. With guidance, they will learn to control their powers." Ronan took a deep breath. He had spent his life studying science, logic, and reason. He had never believed in powers beyond technology, but what he had just witnessed could not be explained by ordinary science. "Are they safe?" he asked cautiously. "Yes," Meera replied. "They are very safe. Their abilities are small now, and they respond to guidance and training. You will see that these powers can help them and others in the future." Ronan nodded slowly, still trying to process everything. He realized that Meera's knowledge was far deeper than he had imagined. She was not just caring for the twins. She was preparing them for a world full of challenges, a world that required strength, intelligence, and courage. As the day continued, Ronan observed Meera teaching the twins to meditate. She explained that meditation helped them control their energy, focus their minds, and remain calm in difficult situations. Tilo and Meera followed her instructions carefully, their faces calm and attentive. Ronan watched, fascinated. He had tried meditation himself before, but it had never worked as well as this. Meera's methods were precise, careful, and tailored to the children's needs. Later in the afternoon, Meera and Ronan sat on the rooftop, watching the twins play. "They are extraordinary," Ronan said quietly. "They are," Meera agreed. "But they are also children. They need guidance, care, and patience. That is why I do what I do. They must be ready for the future." Ronan felt a mixture of awe and concern. He understood Meera's wisdom, but he also realized that the twins' abilities and unusual upbringing could draw attention. People might not understand. People might judge. As he pondered this, a soft chime echoed from his communication device. It was a message from one of his business partners. "Ronan," the message read, "have you heard the rumors? People are talking about your family. They say the strange things. Be careful." Ronan frowned. He had expected challenges with his empire, but he had not expected challenges with his family. He looked at Meera, who was watching the twins with a calm smile. "Do not worry about what others think," she said quietly. "We know the truth. The children are safe." "The rest does not matter," Ronan nodded. He wanted to trust her completely, but a small part of him worried about the reaction of the world. He had seen the power of gossip and fear before, and he knew it could spread quickly. That evening, he decided to learn more about Meera's methods. He asked her to explain the science behind the baths and the energy balance. Meera agreed. She took him to a small laboratory she had prepared in their home. The lab was filled with holographic displays, glowing plants, and strange devices that hummed softly. Meera showed him data on the twins' energy levels, heart rates, and brain activity. "These readings are extraordinary," Ronan said, examining the holograms. "Their bodies are responding well. Their energy is stable. Their minds are alert and focused. I did not expect this," Meera smiled. "You see, Ronan, what looks unusual can be extraordinary. What seems strange can be necessary. These children are growing in ways that will prepare them for the future. You just need to trust the process." Ronan felt a mix of relief and amazement. He had always believed in logic, science, and observation. Meera had shown him that there was more to life than simple explanations. There were mysteries, wonders, and possibilities beyond what he had imagined. As the night fell, Ronan stood on the observation deck once again, holding Tilo and Neera. The city lights shimmered below them and the stars appeared above. He realized that his life, his family, and his understanding of the world were all changing. The twins were extraordinary. Meera was extraordinary. And together they would face challenges, discoveries, and adventures that Ronan had never imagined. He felt both fear and excitement, knowing that the coming days would reveal more of the truth behind Meera's methods and the children's abilities. The following morning, sunlight streamed through the tall windows of Ronan's home, casting a warm glow across the polished floors. The city outside hummed quietly with life, but inside a different kind of energy filled the air. Tilo and Neera had already begun their morning routine, guided by Meera's gentle voice. Ronan watched from a distance, still fascinated by the way Meera cared for the twins. Today felt different. There was a subtle intensity in the air, a sense that something important was about to happen. Ronan did not know exactly what it was, but he sensed that Meera had plans to reveal more about the children's abilities. He had seen small signs before, the floating toy, the children's unusual focus, and their radiant health, but he did not yet understand the full scope of what was unfolding. Meera led the twins to the rooftop garden as usual. The bioluminescent plants glowed softly in the morning light, and the gentle hum of energy fields surrounded them. Meera gestured for Ronan to follow. "Today you will see what they are capable of," she said calmly. "Do not be afraid. They are ready." Ronan felt a mixture of excitement and apprehension. He had spent his life studying science, but nothing he had learned could fully explain what Meera had shown him. Still, he trusted her judgment and he wanted to witness the truth. Tilo and Neera stood in the center of the garden, their small hands touching the ground. Meera instructed them to close their eyes and focus on their energy. The twins followed her directions carefully, their faces serene and focused. Ronan watched closely. He noticed subtle shifts in the air around them. Tiny sparks of light flickered near their hands, and the plants around them responded as if alive. Leaves moved gently, flowers swayed, and the glowing vines brightened. "Look closely," Meera said. "They are learning to control their energy. This is not magic. This is a skill like any other. They will grow stronger and wiser if guided correctly." Ronan's eyes widened. The children were clearly interacting with the environment in ways he had never seen. Their movements were deliberate yet gentle. The energy they produced was controlled, focused, and alive. "Can they do more?" he asked, a note of wonder in his voice. Meera nodded. "With practice, yes. They will learn to lift objects, sense energy, and protect themselves and others. But this is only the beginning. They must first understand balance, patience, and control." Tilo reached out and a small floating device Meera had placed in the garden rose slowly into the air. Neera mirrored his movements and the device rotated gently, following their focus. Ronan could hardly believe what he was seeing. "They are moving it with their minds?" he asked, barely above a whisper. "Yes," Meera said softly. "They are discovering their abilities. These skills are natural, but they must be nurtured carefully. That is why the baths, the garden, and the exercises are all part of the process. It is not random. It is preparation for life." Ronan felt a mixture of awe and fear. The twins' abilities were extraordinary, but he also realized that this power could attract attention. If the wrong people learned about it, they could be in danger. "Are they safe?" he asked again, unable to hide his concern. They are very safe, Meera replied. As long as we guide them, and as long as they respect their power, nothing will harm them. But you must understand, Ronan, that the world is not always safe. Others may not understand, and we must be prepared. Ronan nodded slowly. He knew Meera was right. The city might seem advanced and peaceful, but there were always those who would exploit or fear what they did not understand. After the demonstration, Meera instructed the twins to rest. Tilo and Neera sat quietly, their small bodies glowing faintly with residual energy. Meera turned to Ronan. You have seen their abilities, she said. Now you must learn to support them. They need guidance, protection, and encouragement. They will not grow strong without you. Ronan felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He had inherited a vast empire, but this was different. These were lives, abilities, and a future that depended on his judgment and care. As the morning progressed, Meera invited Ronan to explore the lab where she had been studying the twins' energy patterns. Holographic displays floated in the air, showing detailed readings of heart rates, brain activity, and energy fields. Meera explained each graph and chart carefully, showing how the twins' abilities were developing safely. These readings are consistent, she explained. Their energy is balanced, their bodies are healthy, and their minds are sharp. The baths, the garden exercises, and the meditation practices are all contributing to their growth. Everything is connected. Ronan examined the data closely. It was remarkable. The twins were not only healthy, they were thriving in ways that exceeded normal human potential. He realized that Meera's approach, while unusual, was deeply thoughtful and precise. I understand now, he said slowly. You have been guiding them in ways I could not imagine. This is extraordinary. Meera smiled. Yes, it is. But extraordinary also brings challenges. Others may not see it as I do. That is why we must be careful. Ronan felt a sense of urgency. He had always believed in careful planning and preparation. But this was different. The children's abilities were extraordinary, and he knew the world might not accept them easily. Later that afternoon, Ronan decided to test the twins' abilities in a controlled way. He asked them to lift small objects with their energy, under Meera's guidance. Tilo and Neera focused carefully, and to Ronan's amazement, several small tools and devices floated in the air, responding precisely to their thoughts. You see, Meera said, they are learning. They will continue to grow stronger and more skilled, but only with care, patience, and respect for their abilities. Ronan nodded, still absorbing everything. He realized that Meera's wisdom extended beyond science. She was teaching the twins not just to use their powers, but to understand responsibility, ethics, and the value of careful thought. As evening approached, Meera led the twins in a final meditation session. The twins sat quietly, their small forms glowing softly, Ronan observed, feeling a sense of awe and humility. He had spent his life pursuing knowledge, but what he was witnessing now was beyond anything he had imagined. Meera placed her hands gently on Tilo and Neera. You are learning, she said softly. You are discovering your potential. Remember, power is not just strength. It is wisdom, compassion, and care. Ronan felt a deep respect for Meera. Her methods were unconventional, but they were rooted in love, understanding, and a profound knowledge of life. He realized that the truth about the twins' abilities was not just about power. It was about preparing them to face the world responsibly and courageously. As night fell, Ronan stood on the observation deck once again, holding Tilo and Neera close. The city lights shimmered below and the stars appeared above, bright and distant. He thought about the day, about what he had seen, and about the responsibility that now rested on his shoulders. He understood that Meera had not only revealed the twins' abilities to him, but had also revealed a deeper truth about life. Strength without guidance could be dangerous, knowledge without care could be harmful, and extraordinary abilities required extraordinary responsibility. Ronan realized that he was no longer just an observer. He was now part of a story that would shape the future. The twins' powers, Meera's wisdom, and his own decisions would determine the course of their lives, and perhaps even the lives of others. He looked at the children, sleeping peacefully in their beds. They were small, vulnerable, yet capable of greatness. Meera stood nearby, watching over them with the calm confidence that had guided them through so many challenges already. Ronan knew that tomorrow would bring new lessons, new challenges, and new discoveries. But he also knew that with Meera by his side and with careful guidance, the twins would grow into extraordinary individuals. And deep inside, he felt a sense of hope. A hope that the world, though uncertain and sometimes harsh, could be faced with courage, intelligence, and care. A hope that humanity could achieve greatness when knowledge, responsibility, and compassion were combined. The first full day of revelation had ended. Ronan understood the truth in a way he had never before experienced. The twins were extraordinary, Meera was extraordinary, and together they would navigate a world full of possibilities, challenges, and wonder. The following morning, the city was bathed in a soft golden light. Ronan woke to the quiet hum of hover cars and distant chatter from the streets below. He looked over at the twins, Tilo and Neera, still asleep, their small faces peaceful. Meera was already up, preparing breakfast and reviewing data from the previous day's exercises. Her calm demeanor seemed unshakable, but Ronan could sense a quiet tension beneath her calm. "Something is wrong," he said softly, not wanting to wake the children. Meera glanced at him, her eyes thoughtful. "The world is always watching, Ronan. People notice what is different, what they do not understand. We must be prepared." Ronan nodded. He had seen small signs over the past days, whispers, curious looks from neighbors, and subtle questions from employees. Now he understood Meera's concern. The twins' abilities, while extraordinary and safe, could draw unwanted attention. After breakfast, Meera guided the twins to the rooftop garden. The morning air was crisp, and the bioluminescent plants glowed faintly. Meera explained that today they would practice control exercises, focusing on precision and stability. Tilo and Neera nodded eagerly. They had begun to understand the importance of discipline, and their trust in Meera and Ronan had grown steadily. Ronan observed as Meera instructed them to focus on a small floating device. With careful concentration, Tilo lifted it a few inches, and Neera mirrored his actions. The device hovered steadily, responding perfectly to their thoughts. "You are doing very well," Meera said softly. "Remember, control is more important than strength. Focus your energy carefully and the results will follow." Ronan felt a mixture of pride and awe. He had never seen anything like this. The children were extraordinary, and Meera's guidance was helping them become even more remarkable. As the morning progressed, a message arrived on Ronan's communication device. He frowned as he read it. A rival corporation had caught wind of rumors about the twins' abilities and was spreading false stories to damage his reputation. "They are trying to discredit us," Ronan said, his voice tense. "They say the children are being treated cruelly. People are starting to believe it." Meera's expression remained calm. "Let them talk. The truth will always reveal itself, but we must act carefully. We cannot allow fear or ignorance to control our actions." Ronan realized the challenge ahead was not just about protecting the twins, but also about defending the truth. The world might not understand extraordinary abilities, but it was their responsibility to show that the children were safe and thriving. By midday, the twins had finished their exercises. Meera suggested a break, and they went to the living area for lunch. As they ate, Ronan observed the children closely. They were energetic, joyful, and curious, completely unaffected by the rumors spreading outside. "They trust us," Meera said softly. "That trust is their strength. We must honor it," Ronan nodded. He understood that protecting the children meant more than shielding them from physical danger. It meant safeguarding their confidence, their curiosity, and their sense of wonder. After lunch, Meera proposed a new exercise. She had prepared a series of floating platforms in the garden, each one sensitive to energy and balance. The twins were to move from one platform to another, controlling their energy to maintain stability. "This will test your focus and control," Meera explained.
Pay attention to your breathing, your thoughts, and your intentions.
"Every movement matters." Tilo and Neera stepped onto the platforms, their small bodies steady. Ronan watched, amazed, as they moved with precision and grace. Each step was deliberate, each motion controlled. The twins were learning quickly, their abilities growing stronger under Meera's careful guidance. Suddenly, a warning message flashed on Ronan's device. A security breach had been detected near their home. He felt a surge of concern and immediately checked the cameras. A small group of unidentified individuals was approaching the property. their intentions unclear. "They are coming," Ronan said, his voice tense. "We need to protect the children." Meera remained calm, her eyes focused. "Yes, we have trained for this. Stay close to the children and trust their abilities." Ronan moved quickly to gather Tilo and Nira. The twins looked up at him, sensing the urgency. Meera guided them to a secure area of the rooftop garden, where the energy fields were strongest. The intruders arrived, attempting to breach the property. Ronan watched as Meera activated the energy shields around the garden. The intruders tried to move forward, but the shields blocked their path. The twins observed quietly, their small hands glowing faintly with energy. "Do not be afraid," Meera said to the children. "You have the power to protect yourselves. Focus and control your energy." Tilo and Nira concentrated, and to Ronan's amazement, the intruders were gently pushed back by small bursts of energy from the children. The intruders stumbled, confused and unprepared for the children's abilities. Ronan felt a surge of pride. The children were using their powers responsibly, guided by Meera's careful teaching. They were defending themselves without harm, demonstrating discipline and control beyond their years. The intruders retreated, realizing they could not overcome the energy shields and the children's abilities. Meera deactivated the shields once the threat had passed, and the twins sat quietly, their small bodies glowing softly. "You did very well," Meera said, her voice calm and proud. "Remember, power is not just about strength. It is about control, responsibility, and wisdom." Ronan approached the children, holding them close. "You were amazing," he said. "I am so proud of you." Tilo smiled shyly and Nira nodded, her eyes bright with understanding. Ronan realized that the challenge had not only tested their abilities, but also strengthened their confidence and trust in themselves. As the day continued, Meera explained to Ronan that the twins' abilities were rare but not unique. Across the galaxy, there were children with extraordinary energy potential, and they had been trained carefully to use their powers responsibly. Meera's methods were part of a long tradition of guidance, knowledge, and care. "They are not just special," she said. "They are part of a larger story. A story of humans and others learning to live in harmony with their abilities. We must guide them carefully, so they can grow into responsible individuals who make the world better." Ronan nodded. He understood now that the challenge was not just physical or scientific. It was moral, emotional, and ethical. They were preparing the children for a life that required courage, wisdom, and compassion. That evening, after the intruders had left and the city had quieted, Ronan stood on the observation deck with Meera. The twins slept peacefully in their beds, unaware of the danger that had approached. "You handled it well," Meera said, her eyes calm. "The children were ready, and so were you." Ronan exhaled slowly. "I was not sure at first," he admitted. "But seeing them, seeing their control, their trust, it changes everything. I understand now. This is more than guidance. It is preparation for life," Meera nodded. "Yes, and the challenges will continue. The world may not always understand, but we will face it together. We will protect the children, teach them, and help them grow into extraordinary individuals." Ronan felt a deep sense of responsibility and determination. He had inherited a vast empire, but this was different. This was about life, growth, and the future. He understood that the twins' abilities could inspire humanity to achieve greatness, but only if guided carefully and responsibly. The night grew quiet, and the city shimmered with soft lights. Ronan looked out over the skyline, feeling a mixture of pride, awe, and anticipation. The day had been challenging, but it had also been a reminder of what was truly important: trust, care, and the courage to face the unknown. He turned to Meera. "Thank you for teaching me," he said. "I will do my best to protect them and guide them," Meera smiled. "And I will do the same. Together we will help them become what they are meant to be. The world will see their truth when the time comes." Ronan held the twins' hands in his, feeling their small warmth and energy. He knew that the coming days would bring more challenges, more discoveries, and more opportunities to learn. But he also knew that with Meera's guidance and the children's abilities, they could face anything. As the family looked out at the city, they felt a quiet sense of unity and purpose. The world outside might judge, fear, or misunderstand them, but inside this home they were safe, prepared, and ready. The challenge had strengthened them, not only in ability but in trust, courage, and resilience. And deep inside, Ronan understood that the real journey was only beginning. The challenge had revealed the children's potential, tested their courage, and strengthened their bonds as a family. Tomorrow would bring new lessons, new experiences, and new opportunities to grow. But for now they rested, confident in their abilities and ready for whatever the future might hold. The morning sun rose over the city, painting the skyline in soft shades of gold and orange. Ronan stood on the observation deck with Meera and the twins, Tilo and Neera. Today felt different. There was a quiet energy in the air, as if the world was ready to witness something extraordinary. Ronan glanced at the twins. They were practicing small energy exercises under Meera's guidance, floating tiny devices with precise focus. Their abilities had grown stronger since the last challenge, but they remained calm, controlled, and disciplined. Ronan felt pride and awe. These children, who had once been shy and uncertain, were now confident and capable. "We will show the world today," Meera said softly, her eyes calm but determined. "The truth will be revealed, and people will understand that what we do is safe, responsible, and extraordinary." Ronan nodded. He had felt the tension of the past days, the whispers, the rumors, the fear. But he also knew Meera was right. The world needed to see the truth. And the twins were ready. By mid-morning, a small crowd had gathered outside the property. Ronan had arranged for scientists, reporters, and officials to observe in a safe and controlled environment. There was curiosity, skepticism, and a hint of disbelief in the air. Many had heard the rumors, but none had seen the children for themselves. Meera guided Tilo and Neera to the center of the garden. The twins stood side by side, their small hands glowing faintly with energy. Ronan felt a surge of anticipation. This moment would determine not only how the world saw them, but also how humanity understood the potential of extraordinary abilities. "Everyone," Meera said, her voice clear and calm, "these children have extraordinary abilities. They are not dangerous, and they are not unusual in a harmful way. What you are about to see is the result of careful guidance, discipline, and care. Observe closely and with respect." The twins began the demonstration. Tilo lifted a series of small objects, arranging them in patterns above his head. Neera followed, controlling energy to move several devices in a coordinated sequence. The movements were precise, graceful, and controlled. The crowd gasped in amazement. "They are controlling energy?" one scientist whispered. "Yes," Meera said. "They are learning to use their abilities responsibly. Every movement, every thought is guided by discipline and understanding. They are growing stronger and wiser, not through force but through knowledge and care." Ronan watched, feeling both pride and relief. The children were calm, focused, and capable. Their abilities were extraordinary, but they were also safe. The truth was clear for anyone who cared to observe. Next, Meera instructed the twins to perform a more complex exercise. They created a pattern of glowing energy in the air, forming shapes that responded to their thoughts. The crowd watched in awe, realizing that this was not magic but skill, practice, and control. Ronan stepped forward. "These children are extraordinary," he said. "But what makes them truly remarkable is not just their abilities. It is the care, guidance, and trust that has helped them reach this point. Meera's methods are safe, thoughtful, and effective. The truth is that these children are thriving, happy, and healthy." The crowd listened intently. Some faces showed disbelief, others amazement, but slowly, understanding began to replace doubt. People realized that the children's abilities were not harmful. They were evidence of what careful guidance, knowledge, and discipline could achieve. After the demonstration, the twins sat quietly, glowing faintly with residual energy. Meera and Ronan approached the crowd, answering questions and explaining the science behind their methods. The children were praised for their discipline and focus, and the truth about their abilities spread quickly. Ronan felt a sense of relief. The world had finally seen what he and Meera had known all along, that the children were safe, extraordinary, and full of potential. The rumors that had caused fear and doubt were replaced by admiration and curiosity. Later that afternoon, Meera guided the twins through another exercise, this time combining meditation, energy control, and observation of the environment. The children floated small objects, balanced delicate devices and adjusted the energy fields around them with precision. Ronan watched, amazed at how quickly they had learned. "You have done very well," Meera said softly, placing her hands gently on Tilo and Neera. "Remember, power is not just about ability. It is about wisdom, care, and responsibility. You have shown the world what it means to be extraordinary and kind." The twins smiled, their faces glowing with happiness. Ronan felt a deep sense of pride and awe. These children were not only remarkable for their abilities, but also for their character. They had learned to use their powers responsibly, to respect others, and to remain calm and disciplined under observation. As evening approached, the family gathered on the observation deck. The city below shimmered with lights, and the stars appeared above, bright and distant. Ronan held the twins close, feeling their warmth and energy. Meera stood beside him, her calm presence reassuring and steady. "Today was important," Meera said softly. "The world has seen the truth. They understand that what we do is safe, responsible, and extraordinary. But remember, Ronan, this is only the beginning. There will be challenges ahead, but together, we can face anything." Ronan nodded. He understood the responsibility that now rested on his shoulders. The twins' abilities were extraordinary, but they were also a reminder of what humanity could achieve when knowledge, care, and courage were combined. "Thank you for guiding me," he said to Meera. "I understand now. The children, our family, and our mission, they are all connected. We are shaping a better future, one step at a time." Meera smiled. "And you will continue to learn, just as they will. Life is full of challenges, discoveries, and opportunities. Together we will face them, and together we will grow stronger." The night grew quiet and the city shimmered below. Ronan felt a deep sense of hope and determination. The challenges they had faced had strengthened them as a family. The truth had been revealed, and the world had responded with curiosity and admiration. He looked at the twins, sleeping peacefully in their beds. Tilo and Neera were no longer shy or uncertain. They were confident, capable, and ready for the future. Meera's guidance had helped them grow, and Ronan knew that their journey had only just begun. As he stood on the observation deck, Ronan realized that the greatest lesson of all was trust. Trust in others, trust in knowledge, and trust in oneself. The twins had trusted Meera, Meera had trusted him, and he had learned to trust both of them. That trust had allowed them to face challenges, reveal their abilities, and show the world what was possible. The story of the twins, Meera and Ronan, was a story of courage, wisdom, and discovery. It was a story of how extraordinary abilities could be nurtured responsibly, how challenges could be faced with calm and careful guidance, and how the truth, once revealed, could inspire admiration and hope. As the stars shone above, Ronan felt a deep sense of purpose. He knew that the family's journey was far from over, but he also knew that together, they could face anything. The world had seen the truth, and they had triumphed, not through force or fear, but through knowledge, care, and courage. And in that quiet moment, with the city below and the stars above, Ronan understood something more profound than science or wealth. He understood the meaning of family, responsibility, and the extraordinary potential that lay within every life when guided with wisdom, love, and trust. The night was calm, the city peaceful, and the future bright. The challenge had ended, the truth had been revealed, and the family was ready for whatever adventures lay ahead. Ronan, Meera, Tilo, and Neera had proven that extraordinary abilities, guided by care and wisdom, could change the world for the better.